Hey, guy.
Hello.
Talking guy as in Brian. You might be not a guy and listening to this, and I would say, "Hey, girl," but then that sounds kind of weird.
It sounds creepy.
Am I
Yeah.
creepy old guy saying like, "Hey, girl, what's up?"
I do the hello from like the movie phone thing.
Yeah, that's
I,
good.
I answered the phone like that the other day, and it was Pete that called me. And I went, "Hello," and he's like, it started naming off some movie times he wanted to see, and I was like, "You got it, you got the
That's
joke."
funny. That's like that's you got to be old enough to know that
Yeah,
reference.
yeah,
That
yeah.
you call a number
Yeah.
to see what time
the movie's
Yeah.
playing.
Nowadays, that's you can do that on your phone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can Google it.
Yeah.
You can Bing it.
Bing. Oh, good stuff, man.
All right.
We're rolling. We're rolling.
Two or three.
Yeah. Obviously, so we're recording a few episodes. We mentioned this joke a lot about
I don't know what you're talking
wardrobe changes or lack thereof for Brian. And I
I
suggested,
don't have very many clothes.
yeah, I suggested that we do totally shirtless and not even say anything. Just sit here shirtless.
If this was the old audio podcast, it would be appropriate, but
then we wouldn't worry at all about.
But you already made the last episode explicit, so
yeah, there you go. And so the last episode, that's a great reference and transition.
Yeah.
So we have been in this little series now all day.
Yeah.
For us, we're talking about the mDNA, the movement DNA.
Yeah.
That's both organizationally, it's network, but it's also individual. For what does this look like for us living on mission? And so I feel like we're going to, last week we did Jesus is Lord.
Yeah. And I think we're going to say this every week. I know that not everybody tracks us like in order.
Shame on you.
But last week's episode does set the stage for the rest of the mDNA.
Yeah. I was getting a little feisty.
You did, man.
It was, there was passion.
There was.
Of like, what does it mean for that Jesus is Lord is actually real? Like that we continually to go back to Jesus in everything, in every way, surrendering ourselves to him, our mission activity, our posture in life, that like everything goes back to joining Jesus, who first showed what it means by dying and beckoning us to join him when he's at work. And that, so that's a big deal, man. And we kind of got a little fired up in a variety of ways. So that was the first mDNA element.
Yep.
We're saying element or
the thing.
Thing is the other
the core thing. mDNA. Number one, Jesus is Lord. The contextualized language for the Kansas City Underground. We return to Jesus in everything in every way.
Yep. So should we go to number 2?
mDNA number 2.
mDNA, the movement DNA element thing number 2. Missional, incarnational impulse. What? So we talked about missional, being on mission, the act of being on mission, the posture of being outward focused.
Mission have been sent.
You've been sent, and we're big on like you've been sent to a particular people, particular place. Like you're the most effective disciple maker and missionary in the place that God has sent you, because you, as a follower of Jesus, are defined by the same mission that he was on. Right. So we continue in that mission. We are missional. Great made up Christian word. Missional. Who made it up? We should do a deep dive.
We should.
I feel like that was before Alan Hirsch.
I feel like
and all
it
those
was
guys.
too. Yeah.
Okay, so I always think of missional as a posture.
I mean, also just to be fair, literally every word was made up at some point.
That's a good point. The other word in our phrase here of missional, incarnational impulse. Incarnational, being like Jesus, taking on the flesh, being God infleshed. 3.
There's actually 3 words. We're actually going to focus on impulse as well.
Okay, yes.
I've added that to this document.
Oh, well, I'm excited for you to explain impulse a little bit more.
Yeah.
But just that idea when we're as followers of Jesus, we are not just, it's not just action, it's not just by word or by idea, but it's by action that is tangible on the ground. We are not separating ourselves. We are incarnating ourselves in mission to the place that God has sent us. So then there's the word impulse, which Brian apparently has already done a deep dive.
Well, I haven't done a huge deep dive, but as I was aiding us along with some notes, yes, that happens now. We don't just talk and hope it goes somewhere. These 3 ideas. Missional is that we have been sent. Incarnational would be how we are sent or how we go and how we stay. And that really is important. Like the Father sent the Son. That's the mission. We talk about that. We have a missionary sending God.
Yeah.
The Father sent the Son sends the Spirit. The Father, the Son, and the Spirit send the church. Mission is that we have been sent, but incarnational is how we show up. It's how we move into a neighborhood as Jesus did. And I don't always just mean a geographical, physical neighborhood. If mission is about going, incarnation is about how we stay when we get there. And then this last word, impulse, means that it's not just a strategy. It's actually like a spiritual reflex. That's what I got excited about.
Spiritual reflex.
Yeah.
So yeah, like
I've never focused on that word before when I've communicated missional-incarnational impulse. I've just focused on missional-incarnational, but when I was putting this document together, I was like, oh man, like there is actually something to this that it's impulsive. It's like, this is in me. Like the DNA tells me this is what I should be doing. I don't have to like, all right, should I go? Should I consider like loving my neighbor? No, it's like, this is a spiritual reflex and something that should be like, if it's not an impulse, we should ask why it's not an impulse.
Oh, that's really good.
Thank you.
I like it. And I mean, analogies break down and stuff, but it's like these reflexes can be formed over time.
Yeah.
You know,
you can
like,
sharpen reflexes.
Yeah. Like it's like reflexes are kind of like, I think of it. I mean, I'm a sports nerd all the time. Right. And so in some ways you can't coach reflexes and other things. Like you do the muscle memory that comes from doing something over and over and over again. Like you do it without thinking soon. Right.
Yeah. But you think about the doctor with the little knee tapper thing. It's like, when you hit that knee, that leg shoots out.
That knee tapper thing.
I don't know what it's called.
Totally.
But if the leg doesn't respond to that, it's like, oh, something is wrong here.
Yeah.
Like we should pay attention to this.
It's worth Googling what that thing is called. So you continue.
There is a sense though that if the impulse isn't like natural, we should consider what's unhealthy, right? Like why is that reflex not responding in that way? So we don't just do.
It's called a reflex hammer.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it's like if we wanted something really. I think so. I should ask my wife.
Yeah,
this is what she does.
As a doctor, she might know.
But yeah, you really want to test out that patellar reflex test, right? The patellar's I actually know the patellar tendon.
Yeah.
Right, because I've had a lot of tendonitis in that knee, so it makes sense. And why it also kind of hurts when they hit it, because it's like,
please don't
inflamed.
do that. Yeah.
What are you doing? And then I kick them in the face because I've got excellent reflexes.
All right. So, we don't just do mission occasionally. We live on mission. And we don't just show up for one-off projects. We embed our lives in real places among real people. And so we talk a lot about, when we talk about missional-incarnational impulse, we talk a lot about posture, we talk about proximity, and we talk about presence. A couple of things come to mind on this as well. We can talk about missional activity and mission and how those are different. Oftentimes we've just done missional activity, but it hasn't been contextually appropriate.
Yeah. Our
missional activity should flow out of our mission, and it should be contextual to the people we're among. The way that I explain this one for people is our friends Rick and Alice working with houseless people. They do food. They serve food, right? And it's coffee, and it might be like a soup kitchen type thing, you know. They don't specifically do a soup kitchen, but that idea.
Yeah.
And then I tell people, if I did a soup kitchen on the corner in my neighborhood, it'd be like, what is happening? This is not contextually appropriate.
I would still come and eat whatever you're saying.
Yeah, sir.
Just saying.
It's because I make good food.
Yeah, totally.
But what is contextually appropriate is knowing that someone has experienced a death in the family, and we line up a meal train, and we're with them, we mourn with them. We both are using food, but how we go about that is different.
Yeah.
And that's what missional-incarnational, like at its core, is about. But the second thing that was coming to mind a minute ago that I really want to like hit real quick is getting into how Jesus embodied this mDNA. And I don't know if we want to go deep on this, but maybe.
I mean, it's Jesus, so
yeah,
that'd be cool.
So we think about Jesus was sent, and then Jesus incarnated the gospel. Or Jesus incarnated. We should just say it that way.
Yeah.
Jesus was sent, the Father sent the Son, and then he came by putting on flesh and moving into the neighborhood. And he actually did this by spending 30 years in obscurity, just being a human dude making furniture or building houses as a carpenter or whatever it was, before he spent 3 years in signs and wonders and power and all the stuff. And when we think about missional incarnational, we need to think about that ratio, the way that Jesus did it. Like when he moved in somewhere, he wasn't popping all over the place and immediately doing his ministry. He was like, no, I'm going to learn these people. And I'm just going to be a guy. And that ratio of 90% of his life was spent just being a human. And then he did 3 years in like hard ministry and power and signs and wonders and discipling people. Like, I think Rob always says, we want that 3 years without doing the 30, but we really got to do the 30 before we get the 3. And that frames up missional incarnational for me as well, where it's like, I can be sent and I don't have to manufacture things and make them happen. I can just be one of, always living on mission, not trying to make something huge happen. I don't know how helpful that is at this point in the conversation, but
super helpful.
Okay.
At some point in the conversation. No, I love it, man. I think that posture, it takes it away from just, this is activity. This is something I do, and it's something that I am.
Yeah. Thank you. That was clarity that I needed. Why'd I put that note there?
Yeah, it was really, really, really helpful. But it's funny because there are things that we do, and there's strategies and tactics that come. But yeah, it's divorcing it from just, this is who I am because I continue to return to Jesus as Lord. Is really, I think, the point there. But yeah, like, it's funny because we're going to train people in the disciple-making pathway. We're going to look for persons of peace. We've got strategies that happen that may be quick, maybe long term. But like, if there are things don't happen the way that we expect it to happen always when we're living on mission, when we're, if it's just, here's the way to live and do these few things, and this is mission. This is the one way that you make disciples. This is the one that way that you live on mission. And then what happens when it doesn't go that way? We're kind of, screwed. We don't know what to do. But if this is the way in which we live, we understand that sometimes finding a person of peace and is serving for a long time, and then it emerges. We realize that maybe this person is not going to reproduce a ton of disciples, but they're hurting and they live next to me. And actually to be an effective disciple maker and follower of Jesus is to actually get outside of strategy and just be with this person for a season when it may not make a ton of sense, that we're like, this person's not the one who's going to go reproduce disciples, or this person's not going to be whatever, but they need someone to be Jesus in their lives, right? Because this is who we are. Like, that's the stuff that you can't always strategize towards. But you can say, this is who we are. This is how we live our lives.
Yeah, I think the other reason that I put that up top was also in movement. It feels fast a lot. And it's just a reminder that even with the mDNA, like, there is a space for, if you go in missionally without the incarnational, you could do a lot of damage. You could hurt people. And you also may turn them off from ever wanting to engage Jesus because they feel like, oh, you brought your thing because you think that's what I need. That's not good news to me. And so that's the point of the incarnation, by the way, is that by being present and proximate and choosing the powerlessness route, we're saying, I want to discover what is good news in this space. Not that Jesus being sent by the Father to reconcile all things to himself through his death and resurrection is not good news as a whole, but how we speak that to every circumstance. So real quick, because we keep giving our local language around the mDNA, our language on this one is, we are all sent to a particular place and people until gospel flourishing is everywhere. So we are all sent to a particular people and place until gospel flourishing is everywhere. So again, rooted in Ephesians, 2:10, we all have this set body of good works, this masterpiece mission he's called us to do. This is not just for pastors to go do. This is not just for extroverts to go do. It's not just for professional Christians or people that seem really gifted at evangelism. It's for everybody. It might be your geographical neighborhood. It might be your office building where you have a ton of relationships and a lot of relational capital. It might be some third space in which you exist. It might be something that you're deeply passionate about in the city, some broken place, something that is like, I want to engage this group of people. And you're choosing, I'm going to go live in and among them, learn the story, the language, the songs, the people, the place, learn how to just be fully present to go, how do I contextualize the good news that Jesus has come to reconcile all things to himself? And then begin to speak it. Not necessarily. Sometimes it'll be on the front end. Sometimes it'll be fast. We don't want to say that's never going to happen. But we're just saying the primary posture is Jesus spent 30 years and then he began to demonstrate and proclaim the gospel.
So good. Yeah, I'm hearing we're all sent. You actually are sent, whoever you are listening to this. You may not feel like it. You may think of all the baggage you carry, all the brokenness that you've lived into or received, or all the sinfulness that you've received or lived into, whatever.
Yeah.
But you are. If you're following Jesus, you're following him on mission.
Yeah.
Okay, sometimes I think it's helpful, Brian, to explain things by basically comparing to what it's not. That's like, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like, I used to joke, there's a leader in my life that I said, I've learned so much about leadership by being not like this person. And it's funny, but y'all know what I'm talking about here in this, right? So when we're just talking about the paradigm shift of missional incarnational impulse, what's the opposite? You know, what is not being missional? And it's like the first of that, you know, we have probably 2 or 3 things. I look at these notes. You got
welcome.
things so good that I think of that the idea of go and be, right? The opposite of that is just come and see. Not that it wasn't like Jesus did say come and see, but he also
said come and die.
But I will say the come and see was not in the context of a come to a program. It was like someone saying, hey, come and, or they're talking about Jesus, come and see. You know, it's like it was the early, which 2 disciples was it? Was it
come and see?
That's literally Jesus is talking. It's a early 2 disciples. He's calling
Andrew and Peter.
Was it Andrew and Peter? And then I think it is whoever they go inside. No, just come and see this person, Jesus. But that's not what I'm talking about. We're saying come and see, like, hey, let's take you out of your world and you come to this world over here and come and see this whole other thing, instead of us living out, going and being amongst the people that God has called us to. So that's kind of an opposite that helps me think, oh, okay, what does it look like for me?
I'm going to weave in some stories while we go through this. I'll put them further down, but just to like drop it in. 2 stories come to mind. One would be Sam. With her family. If it's a
beautiful story. Oh yeah.
Fair to tell that.
Yeah. The other one, she's told some of that story on this podcast.
Yeah. I'll let you tell that one. I'll just quickly jump in with our friends, the Hansons. Yeah. Their microchurch and a nursing home.
Man, it's good. Yeah. That's 2 fun contexts we haven't talked a lot about.
And that context for them is like, they're not in a nursing home.
Yeah.
But like for them, they had a relationship with a family member that was there, and they were like, we're going to go incarnate the gospel there.
Yeah.
We're going to go move in and among. I mean, they didn't move in literally, but they regularly spent, this is good language, I think. They oriented their lives around that place and those people. And the longer story, which we've told in some video stuff, is like that family member passed away. And they still chose to orient their life around that. So much so to the point that they like became adopted sons and daughters of these other older family members that didn't have people coming to them to visit and to love them and to remind them, you're still seen, you're still heard, you're still valued. We're going to come here and do that's good news to them. That's contextualized incarnation as they went on mission to this space, into a place. Again, the way to think about this is, where is the kingdom not in this world?
Yeah.
Now I'm sent to that place. So the kingdom doesn't look like lonely people.
Yeah.
And the Hansons were like, those are lonely people. Let's go learn how to play checkers or whatever the game is.
It's a pretty easy game to learn. Bingo?
I was so serious.
Sorry.
But they moved in and among, and they oriented their lives around that space and just loved these people well.
Yeah.
And like, that's missional. That's a story of mission incarnation.
Bingo. Bunko. Bunko is a good, like, older.
Tell the stories.
I think of actually two things, because
we're not training people.
There's been a couple. I will tell the same story in a second, but there's been a couple other contexts within Awaken and other people I've been walking with, where realizing that their missional context is not so much a set people, because there's the idea of third spaces are a lot of times with a very individualized, lonely culture. A lot of people don't have third spaces. They're just lonely. They don't know a lot of friends. And so we've had some people think, oh, actually, I'm going to help create something that doesn't exist by connecting these various lonely people that I'm connected with. And so you actually kind of start in something new and kind of a new context. So that's an interesting reality to it. It's not a extracting in the sense that we're going to pull you away from your people because they don't have people. So it's actually a bringing together of people who don't have people, but that's that's a Western individualistic strategy thing. And then more of a traditional understanding of reaching your people is Sam's story that she has told a little bit of on this podcast. Sam's in her 20s and comes from a lot of brokenness in her family background, and has, when she came to the Lord pretty dramatically in the last 3 or 4 years, and had a deep calling on her life to reach the very people that probably brought a lot of hurt in her life. And long story short, like she started meeting with her grandma and started discovering Jesus together with her and her uncle. And they've got a checkered, crazy past.
They play checkers.
And because it's like the red and the black, and it's like, wait, you can't go backwards. It's just like, this game doesn't make any sense, bro. So they like really like start like gathering together, doing discovery Bible study, things like that. Well, I was been talking with her a lot lately, and she was telling me about these other, she had multiple discovery Bible study environments with different people in her family, because that grandma was the person of peace. Oh, we've got to meet with this person. We got to bring these people together, right? So it's like multiple things that they're kind of like a travel and disciple making duo, grandma and Sam. And it's not a,
it's their family though.
But there's some hardcore messiness in the background of this. So it's like, it is wild to tell this story. And they're now gathering together a lot more. Like she's bringing them together, and they're like doing like listening prayer and like worship songs and like spontaneous. She's like grabbed this guitar that she's just recently learning how to play. And there is amazing things happening in this family that's coming together, right? It's so fun to see. Like, she's not trying to take all these people out and to go to this church across the street. That is never going to happen. It's just not, wasn't an option. But to see God transform a family and a people group from the inside out by her living on mission, incarnating, bringing people together, discovering Jesus, is just, it's really is inspiring. Cool to watch.
Let me tell one more story then.
Good.
The Kellys, which we interviewed Brandon about their hub. Brandon's told me stories of, like, they're these small business owners in their part of the city, and they began to cultivate an environment for other entrepreneurs and small business owners just to be together and learn from one another. That story is not fully developed yet. Like, I know some stories that are really cool out of it. It's just not time to tell those, you know?
Yeah.
But it's like rich to hear, okay, this is how they feel our context, the people to whom we've been sent, missional, are entrepreneur, small business owner type people. How they did it was they cultivated this regular rhythm, the incarnation piece, to go, hey, we know what it's like. This is hard. Like, we're in a part of the city that's like, we're trying to like get business and build it up and make it sustainable. And it's hard for you and it's hard for me. Like, let's sit together and share what we're learning and share our struggles. and love each other well through these spaces. And again, they're not doing it so they can go, oh, also, I want you to come to my thing. It's being in and among. Yeah. And so all three of those stories, like a lot of people, when they hear about us, it's like, somebody asked me this week, so do all of your microchurches meet in houses? Well, Sam's story might be that they meet in a home, but like the other two, I said, no, most of them are not. They're among networks of relationships like this, where somebody's like, these are my people. And a home might be involved, but it's not your quote unquote house church.
Right.
It's people
Tons of people meet in homes.
Yeah.
But that's an interesting, where is their primary place of gathering for most of our microchurch? Yeah. It would be that'd be a fun, near mall is going to have to make that. Near mall does a lot of our data. We're going to have a near mall.
But just that idea that like you're not inviting them to something. You're sent to live among and be present. Yeah. So let's talk real quick. We hit all that stuff pretty hard. Yeah, that's good. Just a few minutes before we wrap on like, what are the practices that shape missional-incarnational? Yes. So the underground, if you're a network person, you should hear this because it's your job to do step one. If you're an underground disciple maker and you're like, oh, I've never done that before, you should reach out to Cory at
Cory McIlvain.
Step one, personal calling and discovery. So like that's something that I would say we have been intentional about from the very beginning. Yeah. That was never talked about in my upbringing. No one told me you have a personal calling. And if they did, what it meant was I got to walk down front and commit to a life of vocational ministry. Yeah. Yeah. And that's not what we mean. Yeah. But we do have a way that we help people discern to whom have you been sent. We explore your giftings. We explore your passions. We look at your story. We look at the things that make your heart hurt, yeah. And we sit with you long enough to go, is Jesus saying this? Like, we don't tell people what their calling is, but we go like, I'm hearing all these things. And if you put all that together, does this sound right? Would this be something that Jesus is calling you into?
Yeah. I mean, hey, an early story with that. And I think I could tell a story because it's awesome. But our good friend Trinity's also in his 20s and just has, I'll have to tell him to listen to this episode because I'm just going to barely tell a piece of his story, has a deep calling to it's mostly like teenager. He feels more teenagers, but young people to experience like music, right? As like, it was a huge piece of his story when growing up. Like there's a church next door that they allowed him to come. They left the door unlocked so he could go and like play instruments and just experience. He didn't have a ton of money and it was just a big part of his story, right? So much of his personal calling is around like, hey, can I get young people into the arts, particularly music? And then that becomes an avenue of discovering Jesus as well. So it's part, I mean, discovering Jesus fully as, that surrendering their lives to him. So it'd be easy. In one sense, when we talk about personal calling, we're talking about the first question, who's God sent you to? Right. And it's like, okay, we're talking about disciple making within that context. There's also this like step back. I feel this other call, this personal calling. But it's also an avenue of disciple making. Yeah. If that makes, I got a passion for music and kids. Well, it's like, how is that going to be utilized to also make disciples of those kids and their families? So they're not separated. It's all part of something that God has wired you particularly for. Yeah. And you're not just a robot who's sent to do these things. I live on mission. I do this. Yeah. It's like God has uniquely formed you, and you have a calling in your life to be, missionally engaging people all the time. This is who you are. It's your impulse, if you will, Brian. I don't know if you know that word, impulse.
I don't know.
It's your impulse, but with that becomes,
I had somebody hit me with a reflex hammer once.
So. Yeah. Solid callback humor there, guys. If you're listening to this and you think we're a comedy show, that's called back from, I think, 2 episodes ago. Anyway,
it was the beginning of this episode.
No, that was last episode.
No, it wasn't. This is Missional-Incarnational Impulse.
No, but the reference of Cash thinking we're
that was 2 episodes ago. Yeah.
Anyway, why are we still talking about it? So personal calling, discovery, that's one practice. Should I go to another one?
Yeah, because the first one, like that tool is missional, actually, not incarnational. Personal calling is the missional component. Yeah. Do you want to hit the incarnational?
The incarnational side is like, so how we actually like infleshing.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Infleshing
Yeah.
this in our spaces with our people. So we talk about bless a lot. Like we actually, bless. I feel like as an acronym, you have to really enunciate.
You got to hit it.
It's not just bless, it's bless. BLESS. We actually use bless in many ways. We talk about blessing prayer. We talk about, but in terms of our acronym of bless, begin with prayer, listen and engage, eat, right? It's a great rhythm, serve and share stories, right? The story of Jesus and the story of asking stories and our personal stories. So this becomes like rhythms, right? Like when we talk about incarnating things, it's not just this one action step. It's like rhythmic.
Yeah.
We often talk about breathing. You breathe in, you breathe out. What are these rhythms to begin in prayer, listen, eat, serve, story? Like this is the rhythms of how to incarnate.
Yeah.
It helps us think practically while also in real life. Like this is not just a check, here, I'm going to check these 5 things.
Yeah.
These is the way that
It should be integrated into who we are.
It's our impulse.
Yeah.
This is a great word, impulse.
Yeah. Hammer. All right. So those are the 2 kind of primary spaces. So you have to discover to whom you've been sent. And then once you discover to whom you've been sent, we consider, how do we go? We go with these blessing rhythms. Those are the 2 primary. So we're at 30 minutes. This is another one where I'm like, man, I just want to go longer on this one. I feel like we should come back and do some on this, because I had another practice that was throw a party. That's baked into these notes. It's like, this is how you go. Throw better parties.
Do you just want to should we do a whole nother episode about like incarnating? Or should we just go? I mean, we got time
to do another episode.
Let's do it right now.
Just make this one longer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's cut it into 2 though. No, we can make this longer.
So let's do that. So a practice for missional-incarnational impulse. I'm just going to throw this in there. Throw a party, in parentheses, Jesus style.
Ooh.
By party, we're not talking about a formal event where you share the Romans road.
Do people do that?
Do you like my notes there?
I'm just now looking at it and I'm like, oh man, tell me I probably can't. It's in youth ministry, people used to do that all the time. It was like this bait and switch.
Yeah.
It's like everyone invites your friends with this, like, there was this space when I was in middle school that's like, Discovery Zone or Leaps and Bounds. It's like,
you got to go play
fun tubes and it's like 6th grade is like a lock-in. Right, which sounds horrible, and just like you have to fart the whole time, right? Because you're eating candy. Is that just me? Anyway, so it's like invite all your friends, and then while they're there, by the way, sneak attack gospel presentation, pray this prayer, okay, and kind of whatever happens, and it's like, all right, go eat some more pizza and drink some more Fanta, and then like go back to like doing your thing in the tubes, some more. And fart a little bit more. But when you're in the tubes, like that's a big deal, right? It's like worse. So
where has this episode gone?
I'm just like, so that's what I think of with like, okay, we could throw like everything we do doesn't have to be like, now you proclaim Jesus and here's the presentational form of evangelism, because we think that's what mission is. And you're saying throw a party. Maybe the goal of the party is that your 2 lonely friends who don't know each other now have space to talk to one another, and you can listen to them and you can like be a good friend to them. And that, by the way, will open up opportunities to talk about the good news of Jesus. Just, you don't have to come in with this like set agenda, because so many people think about the only way that this is missional, the only way that this is evangelistic is if we get to a point where we, share this gospel presentation. And that's just like, we got to get outside of that mindset.
This is Mark chapter 2. Jesus went out to the lakeshore, taught the crowds. He saw Levi sitting at his booth. Follow me, be my disciple. Verse 15. Later, Levi invited Jesus and his disciples to his home as dinner guests, along with many tax collectors and other disreputable sinners. Parentheses. There were many people of this kind among Jesus' followers. Like, what that tells you is, again, missional-incarnational. Jesus is in and among people that were labeled as disreputable sinners. And like, that's the kind of parties he was at. That's why the Pharisees are so frustrated with this dude. He's not following the rules. I know somebody's going to get upset, maybe send an email, push back on me, whatever. The first miracle Jesus performs is wine at a wedding. And the dude that is the host says, most people bring the good wine first before everyone's drunk.
Mm-hmm.
This is the better wine, indicating people were already drunk.
Mm-hmm.
You waited till now to bring the best wine out after we ran out. I mean, they drank a lot of wine to run out. You know what I'm saying?
Right. It was grape juice, dude.
Whatever. The fact that that's really important to me, though, and I often say it sort of to ruffle feathers, is like, Jesus made wine for drunk people. How does that make you feel? Like it's like there's something in that he was so present to that moment where he wasn't like, well, I can't make any more for these people because they've taken it too far.
Mm-hmm.
There were clearly drunk people at this wedding, and Jesus was still like present enough to it to go, I'm not shaming, I'm not condoning it. You know, like he's not drunk. I probably should cut that out. Somebody's gonna get upset.
No,
but my point is
you're not making any crazy statements. You're just saying what he did.
Yeah.
Take your own implications.
Don't
from
do
this.
that.
Yeah.
For the rest of you.
Jesus was he did things that kind of confuses our religious minds all the time.
Yeah.
But like, he just had a way of like being with the people.
Yeah.
And not being defined by the religious law, but bringing a fullness of the kingdom into those spaces. And like when we're talking about parties, like we're not talking, you don't have to have big parties. You don't have to have.
You can, but you don't need to define it that way.
So many people won't be comfortable doing that or something. Maybe that's not their social style or whatever, to have these big parties, but have micro parties, smaller parties, more that get people together.
Jesus had a meal with Zacchaeus.
Jesus had freaking meals with everyone, dude. Like,
I'm just saying, like, that was a small.
Yeah. I was agreeing with you, not pushing back. Like Jesus was just so good about like pressing in and like just eating with people and like having space with people that like confused the religious people that he was doing that.
Yeah.
Like, what you doing that for? Then you know he's not. You know who she is?
Yeah.
Do you know who he is? Right. But Jesus did that. Right. I think for us, like, to be able to think about these missional incarnational rhythms of life, like throwing a party is so much just socially getting with people and having space to have real conversations, or even space that will lead to space with real conversations. Like, what is missing in so much of our world is belonging.
Yeah.
It's community, it's friendship, it's a place to actually like, man, to know people and be known. And one of the best ways to proclaim the good news of Jesus is to provide space for people to find that. I'm just saying, like, just don't overlook that. It really, like, so many of our people actually eating together intentionally is the means of living on mission. It's the means to do all the things that have the gospel conversations, find the persons of peace. It's like the means is eating together.
We've said it 100 times. The Gospel of Luke, based on 10 meals.
Yeah.
Jesus is always eating with people.
Meal to meal to meal. And I've actually learned that from 0 Hour recently. 0 Hour with our high school, the hub that's mobilizing students to make disciples in all the high schools in the area. They've even simplified. They have all these different versions of their disciple making pathway trainings and things like that, but really boiled so much of it down to like prayer, gospel conversations, and eating meals or grabbing coffee together. Like students, they found that students that actually outside of a high school setting, after school, evening, weekend, actually get together in some capacity for meal, for coffee, for something. This is high school students. Like you don't have to be a 50-year-old, or 29-year-old mom or whatever who can sit and have coffee with their other moms. This is just space.
Yeah.
And food is a huge piece of that. So that is a micro setting of a party. This is huge.
I probably for at least 10 years now, maybe going on. Yeah, probably more like 15 now. My joke has been, if you eat ribs with somebody, the walls come down. Like you get to a level of vulnerability when you got ribs all over your face, and it's like throw a party.
There's no way to eat that in like a
throw
polite way.
Throw more parties. And I think it was Dave Ferguson that said this, Jesus brought the better wine. So as believers, we should be bringing the better wine.
Oh, yeah.
And we mean that in all the spiritual sense of like, be the one that flavors everything. Throw the best parties. Throw the parties where people don't want to get drunk because they want to be present.
Yeah.
With like the sense of belonging that is happening.
Really
right?
good. Like our Halloween parties on our block are legit.
Yeah.
And it's not because everyone's getting drunk. We've put all the tables out in front. And every neighbor in the cul-de-sac throws their bowls of candy, right? They turn off the lights of their house because the party's all up front, except one of them that's got the amazing house that everyone walks through. And it's like, that's what I think of when I think of like, we're going to do it. We're going to do it good. And everyone's in on it. And it's so fun. And it's something everyone looks forward to. And there are real conversations that happen around the bonfire that we also have out front, like the fire pits, or just leads to conversations that are not so deep, but then later are circled back to. Guys, just don't underestimate the power of space. And together, and when you do it well. Get the big candy bars. That's what we do. Like
full size.
It's like, okay, we're spending a little bit extra money. We're getting those full size candy bars, and people want to come to our house. And it's like, I've seen you before. That's the third time you changed that outfit, that costume. Right, I see through it, but it's okay. Bring them.
All right, here's some questions for assessment. We did this last week. We'll wrap up with this. Thanks for hanging with us for a longer episode, or if you didn't hang with us,
fine.
So,
good riddance.
Question number 1: are you clear on your people in place? You've asked the questions, Jesus, where are you at work? How can I join you? He's responded. Maybe he hasn't yet, though. So continue to pray and live into Jesus as Lord. And then in the missional-incarnational impulse, get clarity on this. This is the part of the mDNA that helps us get clarity on to whom we've been sent.
We got a couple people in our Awaken crew, young adults who, one of them is involved in another micro church that's they kind of existed before undergrad. They're kind of learning our ways and want to be a part of it. And the people in Awaken we're talking about, that they were using the language, who's your missional context, and they're basically laying it in, going, what you talking about? And it's like, again, we start there so often, because if you don't have clarity on who you're sent to, then you're not going to do anything. You're not going to have the rhythms, all the rhythms that we just talked about. You're not going to do that if you don't know the who. So are you clear on your people in your place?
Question 2: are you consistently showing up? So this one goes back to the presence piece. Are you living among them? Are you visiting occasionally?
Oh man, that's so good, because the fact that we have to ask that question shows that we actually do the opposite all the time, right? Like we just don't these. I was been walking with, so I'm just do little stories for all of these, right? Walking with someone recently, and they always talk about, I've got a heart for refugees. I got a heart for refugees. Never once done anything with any refugees in Kansas City. And like, I get it.
Funny. I'm laughing.
I get it, because sometimes we have a heart for it, but if our lives aren't aligned to it at all, we don't spend any we're not showing up, not even consistently, but at all, then like, in some ways I'm like, stop saying you have a heart for it. I don't want to be judgmental, but you know what I'm saying? Like, let your feet join your prayers, let your feet join your passions, and actually show up.
Question 3: is gospel flourishing your aim? So are you looking beyond just trying to make converts? Again, we say this all the time. We don't equate conversion and disciple making. One is a part of the other. So are you looking beyond conversion to reconciliation, to healing, to wholeness, to flourishing in your context?
I got a friend who's loves telling people about Jesus, and but doesn't buy in a ton to like all of this other stuff we've been talking about. It's like, no, I'm just going to basically do the proclamation, the evangelism,
which is why next week will be important.
Well, but it's also important in this right here is like, is gospel flourishing your aim? That this particular person loves to tell people about Jesus, but has not seen traction in years of laboring in Kansas City. And I would argue it's because
it's a limited, reduced gospel,
smaller picture of the gospel. We want to see flourishing beyond praying this prayer or whatever. So it is important, guys. We're not just talking about getting people to say a prayer. We're talking about the good news of Jesus to penetrate fully in these areas. So
just let me hit these 3 questions one more time. Are you clear on your people in place? Are you consistently showing up? And is gospel flourishing your aim? So this missional incarnational peace impulse, it's out of the outflow of Jesus is Lord. Jesus is Lord means we're surrendered to him, and he is like birthing mission in us. So Jesus was sent, now he sends us. He moved into the neighborhood, so do we. And his mission continues through us. Like that's what that Ephesians 1 passage is about. The flourishing of Jesus filling everything in every way is actually accomplished through the church, and that's us. So thanks for hanging in there with us. We'll be back next week with disciple making ecosystem.